And we are live. Hello, today I'm going to be doing the very exciting work of making a Great Western Railway 1920s vintage T10 signal and telegraph wagon. It is going to be fairly quick to do, hopefully. Just going to sketch it out. I've got my computer sound turned off as there's nothing to hear. That's a really there we go, sorry. Because there's nothing to hear, I can listen to music in the background because, you know, good reasons. Yes, agreed, coat rack. So, I need to get the reference image for the frame. So this is a fairly simple sort of, you know, box frame. Now I was thinking with this one to mix things up a little bit from the previous one. It would have been a really good idea if I'd remembered to do that from the start. So the last time I did this, I did it as, you know, you draw the grid, make it deeper, and then go from there, which does work. And does give a fairly strong finish. So I'm probably going to do the same again, to be honest. Now this one is an older vehicle, so it's not quite as advanced as the previous one I did, which had a lot more of the strengthening beams and stuff, because this was, the last vehicle I think was a 1934 vintage, or whatever you want to call it, whereas this is a 1920, so they're less, what's the word? I can't remember any words today. There's less, you know, less strengthening required. Also, it's a lighter vehicle, as this is just basically a flatbed truck with sides on it for moving stuff like point equipment, you know, signal posts, signal weights, you know, extra bits and pieces. You know, nice simple stuff. Now, a feature I wished I'd remembered the first time I've been using the software, you can just switch this to this feature. So the other thing is I need to remember off to a good start that the frames do not necessarily align exactly with the body shell, and by the body shell, the planks, because this is a 2-plank truck. I probably should have shown an image, but I don't want to have to deal with copywriting stuff, because someone else's photograph is not mine to show off, as it were. Although I'd imagine they probably wouldn't mind, as this is not going to get monetized in any fashion, because, you know, YouTube, and my channel is way too small for that, although I'm getting close to the amount of watch hours required. Either way, so yeah, that's the very, very basic. I'm just going to now go and tidy everything up. It's always better to drag the parts to where they need to be, rather than using, because that's the thing, if I just use the straighten tool, sometimes it'll flip it in the wrong direction, and that's a pain. Especially if I've like got little gaps like I had there. Some of them should be alright, but later on when the drawing gets heavier, it becomes a problem. Let's see how that goes. But yeah, this has got a lot less of the complex framing that the previous one I did, which was the N27 coal wagon. which I could probably find a picture of to put up in the a link to in the description. But pretty much everything I'm basing off of, you know, things I can find nice pictures of, because the kind of drawings I work from are, I wouldn't say bad. Bad isn't the right word, but they're not ideal for what I'm trying to get done. Now, the frames align from the inside edge. Oh, yeah. Well, I suppose the outside edge. So these two lines do not meet exactly, because they are the same as that length. So, start tidying these bits up. The nice simple ones first, of like, well, I think it's symmetrical, and the last time I did one of these, I just like, you know what, I'm going to split this into quarters, because it's you know, it's mirrored in each plane, but that was not useful to do. So this is 1 point. I could probably get away with doing these as a 1. Now, obviously, this has started to show that some bits of this are not uniform sizes, which is, you know, to be expected probably, because I've just sketched this out. However, all these beams also need to be the same length as that one, because the internal frame is generally, because you don't see it. I would like to make it all nice and detailed, have all of it there, but it's a waste of effort. You don't see it. So what I'm going to do is try and use my head. Brain. What I do is I make the internal angles solid rectangles, basically, not, you know, fluted like I-beams or anything, because yeah, they're, you know, it doesn't need to be, sort of thing. But yeah, so these are going to be solid, and the exterior plating is going to be the correct measurements and everything, because that makes sense. So, the critical measurements of this are that the vehicle is 25 foot 6 inches long, which, according to my little calculator thing, means it is 179 millimeters, which is almost bang on. That's not sure how I feel about that. So this says it is 8'4/7'10" because it doesn't have an end diagram. However, what? That drawing doesn't make okay, so it is 8'4" over headstocks, which is the outside measurement of the vehicle, which is the important one for me. And that is 7'10" in the clear, so it has 3-inch thick side planking, because 7'10" to 8'4" is 6 inches divided by 2. Yeah. So 8'4" inches. 8'4" inches is at the scale 58. I think. I was thinking, I feel quite well today. I'm going to try and get some work done. And now, so 58 divided by 2 is 29. And 170 is 89.5? Yeah. And there are certain key measurements that I have as fixed ones. For example, between the frames should be 47 millimeters, because that's the size that the axles I have are. And if you know, use it for its intended purpose, it helps if it works. So, and now we can see where everything started to go wonky. Yeah, so it's probably a good idea to get the measurements down first. That's a shame that I didn't do that. So I need to try and drag some of these elements to near the right places. Now 47 divided by 2 is 23.5. So that sets that in the right position. So you may notice there's a really thick overlap between the inside and the outside, but that's going to get accounted for soon. Now, generally with these vehicles they have a 2 foot 9 inches gap between the interior bars, which would make sense if it continues along the length of the vehicle. So that's 19 millimeters to the centers. So it makes reasonable sense to go, it's 19 to the centers, so that's 18 point to point, allowing for the millimeter of thickness on the, you know, bits of the thing. Yeah, this is all going to be very, very dry and very, very dull for about the next hour, I'm afraid. That looks far too wide. So, 5 foot 8.5 is the distance between the buffers. 5 foot 8.5 is 40, near enough. So again, the parts that are aligned to each other. So the middle of this line needs to be 40 and 40, and the plates are 7. Excuse me. So 3.5, so that's 34 from there to there. That doesn't... That's... What am I doing? That's too wide. Is it? Yes, it is. It is, yeah. Should be 16 and not 18. Get it right. I can remember how to do this. It's not like I've been doing this for years on a semi-professional basis. Yep, so just getting these. Okay. Oh no, what's happened over here? There we go. Ugh. Now, for some reason, all of these have fallen apart. Let's make those the same length. These the same length. It should slowly come together. Probably fixing a bit too energetic to listen to while doing this. Never mind. So, that's not helpful. Yeah, no, that should be the same length as all these, as should this one. Oh, what am I doing? Right. It's not a straight line, though. That's the thing. That's the straight line. Yeah, I don't know how that's happened. Okay, so that's all tied together, if nothing else. And I'm sure it looks a complete mess. But now the point is, so this has an 18-foot wheelbase, which is, I also should be able to do much faster than this, so it's just 18 times 7. Is 126 millimeters. And the wheels of these are, let me just quickly check, because they're approximately, well, from rim to rim, 25 millimeters across the diameter. So I need to have 126 minus 25 as the distance between this point and this point, because I have no actual given measurement for it. So it makes sense that it would be why can't I remember any words today? So when you're not given the measurement, you know, make a sensible decision, and 100 millimeters is, you know, the minimum clearance so that the parts do not strike each other. Now, the next thing I could actually do, because I am being an idiot again, this has the measurements done in planks. So as long as the plank number is accurate, this will be quite easy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 planks to there. So that should be, yep, that's correct, 38 millimeters. So it appears that it's correct. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 47. So it's 47 planks long and So 47 times 4, because the planks are 4mm, is 188. So I've probably miscounted slightly, but it's close enough that I can use the measurements on the drawing in plank terms. So 1 plank, 2 plank, 3 plank, 4 plank, 5, 6, 7, 8 planks. So 8 planks between these 2 points on the drawing. 8 times 4 is 32. So now everything should be fixed. Because these are a fixed number, because they're between that point and those points. Now, yeah, there we go. So the side-to-side measurement, that is now 16. That's the pop-up to me. My screen is about to turn off. So that's all the detail from the, basic drawing that I've got. Let's have a look at it. Hello, Pastor. This is me doing my work. This is what my work is. This is why I don't sit in VCs while doing it, because it would just be me counting all the time. So this is all... So 1 degree of not fixedness. So that actually goes straight down that line. One of these doesn't look quite right. Ugh. There we go. Knew it didn't look quite right. So that is the very, very basics done. Now this vehicle has a... what appears to be a 9. Yeah, it's a 9 on the other drawings. Let me check the primary drawing I've got. That says nothing at all. Excellent. Oh no, it does say, yeah, that's much more clearly a 9. So 9 inches is the thickness of the primary, elements, as it were. That is 5.2. Now, because I'm very lazy, that means that... there it is. Five millimeters. Now, next part to do is, obviously this has, it's all nice and slender apart from these big fat bits on the sides. Monomarth is probably not an ideal thing to listen to during this. But for anyone interested, I'm listening to Yoms Viking? Yoms Viking? I can never remember how to pronounce it. But it's the Way of Vikings is the current track. Sorry if I'm mumbling at intervals. This on Saturday, the newcomer to my channel will be my 3.5 ed game, Mars Rovers, which is a sort of continuation to the game running on Master Stu's channel of the what's it called? Void Rangers. It's at a different time and place, but in the same sort of, setting, as it were. The players are seeking to find the cause for mysterious disappearances in the area, and to, bring back the prosperity of their home village. Although some of them are not from that village, but that's beside the point. They made it difficult for me. So this is over-defined apparently. There we go. What point's loose drawing? Oh yeah, the actual length. So yeah, let's switch this into the wireframe view. Now, I said it was 47 across the inside, didn't I? So 47 divided by 2 would be, that's going to be 24 is the answer I need. But that's not correct. Because there should be a step, not just a, you know, break. So the step. Gib. There we go. Now, the unscrupulous amongst you could probably quite quickly go, if I just copy this, I can make it. To which my answer is, well, off you go then. You know, that's what you want to do. I'm not going to stop you. I mean, more people making stuff is always, you know, good. There we go, so it's one end done. Yep. I was originally thinking of calling this the T-Series and just trying to do multiple of the vehicles from the T-Series as a means of, you know, not gaining clickbait, honest. But yeah, it is the T series of vehicles. It's, you know, goes T1 through I think T15. There we go. So let's put this back into regular view. Through all. There we go. That makes it look a little bit more what people might be familiar with as, you know, a vehicle under frame. But obviously now I've chopped the ends off, so that needs to get put back on. Now I've chopped the ends off. Now, the last time I did that, it made these chassis members here very thin, which is not convenient, because that's where I attach all of the coupling gear, which if I could be able to put my camera on, I could show you. But basically, all the coupling gear goes through a hole here, or here and here, and is then held on to the back. And if that plate is very thin, you're going to have problems. So I'm just going to mess with that when I'm on my desk for a minute, because I'm not paying attention. I am easily distracted right now. Excellent. So, why is this lagged out? This is a sketch. Okay, it's a sketch on this facing. So, draw the same profile beam. Let me just quickly check the reference picture. It appears to be a flat plate. Yeah, it appears to be a flat plate there as well. So I only have one good drawing of this and a picture. So it's not. It's actually a less substantial plate on this side than on the other. which means that this is going to be a... let me check my reference. Yeah, that's... it's going to be a very, very delicate 0.5mm. Which I would prefer not to do, to be honest, because that's very, very weak. Especially as it's potentially a load-bearing element. However, when it's completed, it will have more parts tying it together. So it's not so bad, it just makes me feel bad. So, get it to connect to the line. One thing I will say, I miss SolidWorks. I was looking back through some of my old drawings and how they come out, and the SolidWorks ones are much easier, because SolidWorks you can just take an entire chunk of a part and mirror it, whereas in this software you can only mirror one part at a time, not an assembly, as it were. But I can't afford or justify spending the money on SolidWorks at the moment, so there we go. And I'm just going to quickly check the measurements on this one. So I need to make it, so it's 25 across, and I need to make it 4 longer in that direction, and then more in the other. So 4mm that way. Now we have 1,000 burning arrows playing in the background. So it's 58, so that means this is 54. There we go. That is the very basics done. I could print this out now, stick some wheels on it, and it would, you know, it's a bit more than just stick some wheels on it. I'll stick the underframe, like the wheel, stick all the gubbins on it, then put it together. Either way, the next step is the ends. It is a hexagonal plate, so the easy thing to do, because I'm, you know, lazy, would be to put the hexagonal plates on first, but I'm not going to do that. So it's a 1.5 by 2.5 with this current printer is a good setup. 1.25 puts in the center. 0.75. Now the corners should extend just shy of there and go up to there. Because these are just little supports to hold up the bed of the vehicle, because the bed of the vehicle is, in pretty much every case, at least a few inches wider than the frames, because that's how you get efficient, you know, use of distribution. So otherwise, you wouldn't have anywhere for all the, you know, the wheels would stick out, it'd look weird. I know what I mean anyway. I am not very good at this today. But I thought, you know what, I haven't recorded a video like this one in ages, I might as well. And I think that was a mistake. Now, the last bit to do is Make those equal. We already looked at the measurement earlier, so that's that big. That is the distance between the buffers. Now these holes need to be a 1.5mm diameter, so they've got plenty of clearance. Because my new sprung buffers, instead of being an interference fit like the original ones, are now sprung. All the spring overlap system goes into the frames, which is not technically correct to the style, but I'm having to compromise because of material thicknesses and stuff. If I could make them better to scale, materials would be so thin that any kind of lateral impact would just shear them off. Which, isn't something I want to happen. So now this is the thing that's technically correct. But I could, fill up those holes afterwards. But at least the holes through the middle, generally the springs are attached here. There's a big spring here and here, which the draw hooks are attached to. So the draw hooks, instead of pulling on the end plate, which is obviously weaker, they pull off this plate and this plate, obviously for that end, to, so you don't tear the vehicle in half. Because original wooden framed vehicles, when the wood started to go, you could literally just tear the ends off them. Rarely, but it could happen. Now this has a little cutout on the frame where the wheels go through, by the look of it. Which is not on any of the drawings I've got. Excellent. But it is in the picture I have. So I'm going to quickly just do a Google check. See if I can find anything to corroborate this information. Oh, that drawing's smaller in the thumbnail. Yeah, it does appear to be directly above. Oh, yeah, there we go. There's a bigger picture. Yep, there is a hole above the center of the wheel. And by the center of the wheel, why can't I think of words today? Okay, either way, that I need to put a hole through the frame above the axles. That's the point I'm trying to get to. Now I forget what the hole is for. I know on some of the vehicles it's so you have an access point to some of the braking gear. So I think it can be either installed or adjusted, because the element would be longer than the vehicle. You couldn't. There's stuff in the way. You need an access point, sort of thing. Now it's an 18-foot vehicle. That's 126 end to end. So that is 63. Now it's got a small hole. So I'm going to do is a 1mm diameter. This does mean this hole is going to get punched straight through all the frames. But such is life. So the concern is that might make these members a bit weak, but I'm printing this as one piece. It's going to have the deck on top of it, which is probably going to be the next job. So that is, for now at least, all the key elements of the frames. The bits that hold the wheels on are glued on afterwards. They glue on here and here. All the braking equipment will be attached to the insides. I'm going to deal with rivets later because rivets are suffering and I prefer to leave them as long as I can. So, next job then. Top face. This will be a fairly chonky vehicle. Probably one of the bigger ones I've done as a single piece. Probably actually the biggest. Yeah, the last one I did was only 150mm. This one's 178. 179, 179. So 179 is 89.5. This costs 29 and 58, which is quite near to the sort of maximum thickness you'd expect for anything like this. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not expecting anyone to be watching this live, or probably even afterwards, but, you know, aspirations, I guess. Let me check my reference drawing. 1 foot and a measurement I can't see, because it is very small. It might be a 1. Alright. That looks like 1 foot 4 inches. Which means that will be 2 inches. Probably 2 inches. So 2 inches at scale is, I believe, going to be a millimetre, or I'm 1.1. Yeah, that's a millimetre. There we go. And that suddenly has stiffened up all of those components under there. Now, because I'm very exciting, I'm going to start this part by notching in the floorboards. So, I'm going to start at this end. I used shallower floorboards last time, and it came out rather nicely, because the previous ones were very deep, and it made it... I don't have an example to hand, and you wouldn't be able to see it anyway, so I don't know what I'm doing. So I'll leave this side of my room. Either way, I made them, I think, 0.5 millimetre deep previously, and I think this time I did it 0.3 of a millimetre, because I'm using a higher definition with the printer. Now that is... It'll be up against the end wall, and the floor goes up to the end plank, and the end plank would be, I believe, a millimetre thick. So 179.5 would be 179.5 minus 4 is 175.5, minus another 1 is 174.5. Except it's not 174, because it would be 84. The way to check this, of course, is the nice and simple technique of construction line. Yep, that is almost 5, which is accurate because it's got that chunk as well. Good. So through all. Now I have this one, and I want to have that pocket. Now, I'd said it was 84. So 84 is 100 and... 84.5. I'm just going to write this down to be quicker. Not trusting my brain to be good at maths today. So make an array of pocket 3 at a 169, except 169 is not a useful number. 168 is more useful. Now, I've clicked the wrong button there, but you see it's put another notch in all the way down the other end. Now, according to this, there'll be 42 and a half occurrence. Sorry, 42 and a quarter occurrences. So that'll be 43. And I think that would do it. I think. Apparently, I just cannot mouse today. This is why I've been doing this off, because reasons. Okay, so 43 planks between there and there, because you need to include, so, well, 168 divided by 4 is 42, but then you have each end. There we go. So that now has a nice planked surface. There are other ways of doing that, but I find that this way is the more expedient. Got to wait for it to load now. Did not appreciate that. I'm going to drink some more from my questionable water bottle. I need to clean that out at some point. So, just do a quick checkup. Boom. That is 3.99. That's close enough, you know. That'll do. So, there we go. That is the very basic system done. Now the next up, I need to draw on the next 2 planks on top of the floor, as the planks go underneath the floorboards. No, the floorboards go underneath the planks. There we go, trying out the right bloody words. So this is the... Now, for when this was built, it would probably actually have the slightly thicker flooring. However, I'm not sure. Not helped by the fact that the drawing is so shrunken down that you can't actually see some of the numbers. It looks like 1 foot 4 inches. And 1 foot 4 inches is 16 inches, which would be 14 and 2. So it's as near as I can. So, as I don't have any information saying to the otherwise, I'm going to assume it has the standard material thicknesses, which puts this at 1 millimeter thick. Although in the previous ones I've used 1.5 millimeters. I could check quickly if I can find the page in my book of useful information. That's telegraph codes. Yeah, that's all these are. Telegraph. Old 1 and a bit more than 1. So, homegrown. So, it's built in the 1920s. So, planks for sides and floors are most often 7 inches wide by 2.5 inches thick. Imported pine, 3-inch thick floorboards, were often used in the early days and nearly always towards the ends of the vehicles. So your ends obviously are going to have any impact of anything loose during transit, and the floorboards, you'd want them to be thicker on, say, you know, weaker framed vehicles, but they got quite good at doing it after a while. So that's 2.5 inches is what it's saying, and it's 7 inches wide, so 2.5 by 7. So that's 2.5, and 7 is 1.45 and 4.08. So let's boost this up to 1.5 then for a bit of more accuracy, and it'll actually make the vehicle stronger as a result because it'll have more material thickness. Because that's fairly simple, you know, material science. See, my degree's paying off. I know that things that are thicker are generally stronger. Oh dear. Yeah, pro tip, don't get a degree unless you know, really need to or really want to. At the end of the day, it's just I think it's not even that fancy a piece of paper anymore. You know, with the amount of degrees that get produced every year. I mean, it looks nice, don't get me wrong, but I would still be able to do this without it. Now, the sensible thing to do here, of course, would be I have need of a thicker floorboard for these vehicles. I should probably make the floor plate thicker, but the floor plate is the thickest volume of the entire thing, so you know what? I think 0.5 millimeter is not going to make much difference. So that is the body, which is 2 planks high because this is a 2-plank vehicle. It's very shallow. It is just used for carrying around big bulks of timber and stuff like that. And, you know, bits of metal and, you know, the stuff you need to do productive things. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to score in the plank lines, which are not visible on the lower plank because there is a curb rail which covers the outside of the planking here. But the middle plank and the top plank are going to get a little notch put into them, like we did with the floor, just to show that they have planks. Because I've seen some of these with flat sides, or even just like etched brass sides, and they don't look normal, as it were. They look odd. So let's connect these by lines, as the lines are much easier to balance with. So that one and that one. That one and that one. This is all mirrored, but as I said before, mirroring in this software is not ideal. That's not the button I meant to press. I have already run out of that 52-minute album, so let's go Twilight of the Thunder God. Hopefully my chat is enjoying this very, very exciting work that I'm doing here. But 52 minutes and I have gone from a blank page to something that looks kind of like it's meant to. So I can hear that weird Hennessy advert going off in the background. You know the one I mean if you've seen it. So I do these 0.5. They're scored quite deeply. And I've just realised, last time I did one of these, it was for a van. Not for, you know, something a bit more interesting looking. So, 0. This is... What? What? So it's 0.3, so this needs to be 0.6. So that should be 14. So that's 40 millimeters high. That's now all locked in. 0.5 seems quite deep, but it does give a nice shallow dish to it. Why isn't this aligning? There we go. Now, I say, last time I did this, it was for a van, so I'm going to miss out I'd miss the interior planks. So let's get the drawing back aligned. What is this? Sorry. 3 minutes left of that advert. There we go. Sorry, I am not enjoying these new, hey, let's put on 2 long adverts. Like, some of them just completely take the piss. So. There's actually a line behind that. It was. So these are going to be matched. Don't you just sometimes love what your brain throws at you when it's not paying attention to anything else? Let's just had the reminder from one point my sister warning me that I had to be careful of what I shared of my political views because some people won't like that, to which I replied, my political views being that of a almost like, you know, exhausted centrist at this point. This whole two-party system seems doomed to failure because it will always either be the same policies or just, you know, the same thing but just different people saying it. Or just everything's completely like opposed to each other, like there is currently in America, where you have the one party for, you know, more freedom and the party for significantly less freedom. Decide who's who, to be honest, you know. I only see what I see in the media, and the media is, you know, known to lie. Remember when the media was, you know, generally deemed to be trustworthy? Good times. No, the new era of political violence is hopefully not going to last much longer, because it's just very undignified for a any form of government to, you know, have, as, you know, in some cases, a branch of its official party to be responsible for the political violence. That's just, you know, shameful display. Light of the Thunder God. Twilight. So, that is the planks. I'm not doing the bottom plank because it's a point of weakness then. And, you know, you'll see it anyway. I've messed that up slightly. So this is correct. Before I finish it, I need to edit this. 2 dimensions. is to drop down 1mm just to fill up the ends of the planks, as otherwise you'd be able to see through the side and that would look silly. So through all. There we go. So it's got these nice little planks etched into the bodywork. When it comes to put on the exterior plating that holds all the planks together, those will then be covered up at the back so you don't get hollow spots, because hollow spots dramatically weaken the strength and everything. And this time, because I'm a bit more lazy, I'm going to cut notches here and here. Yeah. So this to there. I'm going to mirror this one because this is one that's worth mirroring, because it's a long way to the other end of the drawing and I'm lazy, as I'm sure you've worked out by now. So 1.5, 4 equal drag that to the corner. These should now be 0.3 high. So that is 0.6. I'm hoping this new way of doing it is going to work a bit better than it did last time I did these, because sometimes the planking gaps look really big and clumsy. And that's not, you know, something you want to aspire for in your drawing work. You know, you want to go for something that's nice and smart looking, professional, you know, buzzwords. And 89.5 away. Now I probably could put the extra little notches in there, but again it's just there's a certain point where detail gets lost. So through all. So yeah, this little S+T wagon is getting there quite rapidly at this point. It's going to slow down again when it comes to doing the ironwork though. Is the vertical axis? No. Horizontal axis. What have I done? There we go. That's not the button I meant to press. Mirror. Although technically that would work, but mirroring is, you know, optimal. There we go. So that's all the planks cut. Now it has it's a 1920s vehicle. Let me just quickly check. 1920s, the corner plates. I mentioned something about these at the beginning of the book. Cover. So the corner plates are the bits that hold all the planks together at the corners of the vehicle. Kind of, you know, fairly obviously, I'd imagine. 1934, those changes came. Trying to find any detail on these. So that's all about the curb rails, that's about the different angles using the bodywork. It mentions something about the corners somewhere. That's about underframes. I think we've gone past the point of useful. Yeah, that's about the next box and stuff. So that's about the metalwork used in steel-bodied vehicles. What? This used to have this information more readily available, I remember. Sorry about this, I'm trying to make sure I'm doing this right, as the drawing has no detail on it, and it should appear in other things. Actually, let's look at the open wagons, that'll probably have more detail. Where's my bookmark? Well, there goes a bookmark, right. It's on the pages beforehand, my mistake. Oh dear. Professionalism. What is that? So I need to find a appropriate vehicle from the same time period. I think they're 10 inches. That's all about specialist vehicles. One of these drawings has the detail. Sorry about this. This is this had details. Right, let's maybe I just can't read properly. Planks for sides and floors are most often 7 inches wide, 2.5 inches thick, imported pine. What about plank for 11 inches plus 4 plank? First 4 plank opens that, yeah. Victor's floor ply, imaginary, homegrown oak. On most vehicles before 1934, the ends of the floorboards were covered by a curb rail. That's the strip of metal that runs around the 2.5 inches thick, that runs around the edge of the vehicle, covering the ends of the floorboards, so they don't get, you know, worn away, damaged, all that stuff. Okay, apparently I had skipped a page, unless I just didn't read this properly last time. So the curb rails removed in the 1930s as a cost-saving exercise, which changed some of the construction. There we go, the corner plates reduced from 12 inches to 9 inches wide on the later lots in 1930, so it's a foot. That's the important information that I needed for that. These corner plates are a foot square. Sorry, that took far too long. Right, so that is 88 by, hopefully so nice and convenient, 27.5. And that should be by a millimeter, as should that. There we go. Now this means that this is also a millimeter, because symmetry. These are matched. These should be 7 millimeters. There we go. And that will cover up the rather ugly gap in the corner caused by the planks not, you know, meeting uniformly. Just need to copy that over here. I'm not sure which one this is, but it's, I believe, the monomorph song that I'm listening to right is, I think, concerning the Varangian Guard, which is the label that most of my in-game units take the moniker of. So, 27.5 and 88. I'm just going to mirror that, it'll be quicker. So these drop down. Let me check the reference picture. They drop down to only as far as the curb rail. So they will only drop 8 millimeters. They will not go down the full height of the vehicle. So realistically, they only actually attach the planks to each other. Which sounds, you know, a little bit pointless, but it be how it be. So it's filled in little gaps there, and on the tops. So mirror, pad number 4. Now if I was being sensible about this, to reuse the drawing later to redo old variations of it, I would name all of these components. So I can go, oh, I need to edit corner plate, etc. Yeah, there we go, it's in the correct place. See, the size of these being reduced later on is probably sensible, considering if the overall construction of the vehicle is stronger, then it's not such an issue. So, next up then, I guess, is the coupling boss, as I'm at an end of the vehicle. Now, at this point in history, they had big hexagonal ones. You can vaguely tell the age of a vehicle based on these, at least within the Great Western Railway Company. Conversely, if one of these became damaged, it would be the ones they would replace them with, so you can at least see when it had any major work done. Now, I can never remember how big these actually are meant to be, but they are not very big. Let me see. Does one of my vehicles I have on my shelf of convenience actually have that type? That's got rectangular, that's got rectangular. How about... that's also rectangular and very badly painted. I need to go back on that one. That's an odd one, and that's fallen off. Okay, 1 second. Get back in there. There we go. Sorry, one of them shedding parts again. I don't think it's too... As long as it looks right, that's generally enough. It doesn't have to be very precise. I can hear someone crying in the distance. 7mm is a foot, and that's pretty damn chonky. I think 6. The concern is I've got to try and match these to what's the word? The size of the couplings as well, because the couplings are not necessarily to scale because they have to be functional. So 1.5. No, it could be 2. 2 looks about. Right, I'll probably go 175. Yeah, that's good. Right. Now, I've conveniently found the springs that I use for my buffers also work for the couplings. Oh, I didn't think that through, did I? So this is 0.75, that is 2.5. Right, now I could be very lazy, which I will be, and just mirror this component to the other end of the vehicle. This also nicely ties it in across the centre line, where you can see a little gap. It shouldn't actually do anything, but it has presented problems in the past. So it's pad number 5. Come on. Gib. Hopefully, no, not horizontal axis, vertical axis. Come on. Should appear over here. Should. No. Alright then. Alright then. Wireframe. No. That's not what I meant to press anyway. Toggle visibility. Is it really the deck? Huh? Alright. Ah, that's why. So I'm just gonna actually rename these, as this is going to be a very easy vehicle to modify from. Okay, well that's clearly not that one. Side holes. That is the floor. Okay, so deck. So this is floorboard detail, I guess. That doesn't actually have anything in it. I've done the wrong thing again. Oh no. Oh, this is going to take a while for it to reset. Apparently I've dropped 66 frames. Terrible. So, body, planks. So, plank detail 1. Plank detail 2. Corner plates. I think that was the corner plates anyway. Yep. So that is coupling boss. Alright, let's do the other one then. As it doesn't want to copy it, I'm going to have to draw it fresh. Oh, it's 6 o'clock now. That's been this for a little bit. Don't imagine I'm going to get this finished today based on the current progress, but I guess we will see. I think I made these 1.75 and the overall was 6. That's 4. There we go. There we go. Very simplistic, but it's, you know, done. Coupling, boss. So yeah, those will get their rivet detailing and the bolts to hold them on later when I get to that point in the drawing. So next up we have the side stanchions, which hold the bodywork to the frames. Now these are, on this vehicle, a T-shaped stanchion that wraps underneath the frames. Now these are really annoying to draw, because you've got to have the metal that curves out from the body, underneath, and then around. Let's actually get this in the that view. Let's put this into wireframes. So the bodywork comes in there, goes underneath, and it comes out, and then curves around. So that's fun. So we're going to do the top half of these first, because otherwise it's very awkward to do. So the first half of this is very easy. Second is not too bad, actually. Right, I'm afraid I'm going to have to be right back. I need to go have a drink of water. One moment. Right, so about that. So this has 4 stanchions on each side of the vehicle. So easy way to do that is draw it out like this. Now I could do it as a array that way, which means I need to draw 2 of them on the same line. And drawing 2 does seem easier than drawing 4, so smooth. So that needs to be a 28.5. Generally these bars are not too thick on this size. I believe this only has an overhead stocks width measurement. And yeah, it only has over the headstocks, not over the these bits here. So I don't have a specific measurement, but generally they are about 2 millimeters. From what I can tell though, these are uniform along the length of the vehicle. This is 2. That is 1. That is 0.8. Okay. Well, that's not helpful. As it does appear these may or may not, in fact, be generally the same length along the vehicle. Oh, good. So according to this, it is... Let's look at the underneath view. That's my phone. Fine, I'm going to charge you early. So you'll shut up and stop squeaking at me. Okay, so these beams, according to the drawing I have, are aligned about there-ish. As it goes inside the W-iron, the W-iron is, if you were not familiar, a W-shaped piece of metal that holds the axle box to the soul bar, which is the main piece of metal that runs the length of the vehicle, and my mouse is currently over. So if that's the centre, it'll be 9 millimeters away from the centre. On the outside end, so it's 6 because it's free thick. Ugh. Then shall remember all this, but the mouse controls do. So that is the hole through the chassis there. And it has a wheelbase of 18 foot. So at 63 off the centre. Except it's not 63 off the centre because there is... so 63 off the centre and then another 6 off that. So it is 57, I believe, if I am not mistaken. So let me check my drawing. Yep, that is close enough. Because this is one of those things where the parts do have to actually align. So even if I fudge some of the measurements, the others need to be accurate. So yes, that one is now in the right place. There we go. So that needs to come down all the way to the base of there. Which should be a very simple 9. There we go. Now I can see if my theory is correct, surely. So pad number 7. Wait for it to load. This should be 114 or 108. One of the two. No, it wouldn't be 108, it'd be 111. Ugh. Yeah, see, that's much nearer than that one, so it is 111. So that's measuring from the centre of the part, not from an end. Switch now to Iron Maiden's Power Slave. So we have 2, and we now boost that up to 4. Let's see what that looks like. So a lot of this stream is going to be waiting. There we go. Now, that looks correct. And as far as where is not a critical measurement. Let's load. Yep, that is almost bang on where it needs to be. Yeah. That should pass most people tests, I would hope. And certainly, obviously, that's going to end up being a really awkward number. But again, I can array things. As long as I know what one measurement is, the rest can be acquired. So yeah, that's looking more and more like it's meant to. Now I'm going to skip a step here and do the end ones, because the end ones are very simple. I'm going to do this end first, and then mirror it backwards again. So it's the same thing, a T-shaped piece of ironwork that will be tapered a little bit later on. And this version of Power Slate does not include the Churchill speech at the beginning, which is very disappointing. Unless I was not paying attention. So connect that to the center line and that to there. So that it's there to there. Should be 9.6. I want to say 9. Let's adjust some of these numbers before we do that. So these are all going to be the same. Those are going to be the same. Those are all the same. So these are 1. These are 3. These are 0.8. Dear. Right. So 1.5 means that this needs to be 8.5 for the center to be at 20, and the other center to also be at 20. And only the actual distance from end to end. That is 89. There we go. Eventually I'll work out what the key bindings are and just adjust that. Now this one is going to drop the full 14mm straight down to the frame when I've got it facing the right way. Ow. Yeah. There we go. Straight down to the frame, which is predominantly all the upper body ironwork done. So I now just need to do the lower body ironwork with all the little wrap under stanchions. And I'm going to try and use a lot more of the repeating parts tool, because this is a convenient vehicle. The last one I did, I could have mirrored it at best. And I think I did, to be honest. So, mirror part number 8. Hopefully it's going to work. And hopefully it's going to do something. There we go. Nice and simple. Now, if it wasn't for the fact that I have so many different tabs open, and I don't want to, you know, have it unlocked, so you just, you know, see bits of my desktop, because that's probably not useful with the amount of work information I keep on it. At least at the moment. I could just close down those things, hide them, whatever, but I'm lazy. So, we have this almost at a point where I would call it done bar riveting. But next up is the bit which I skipped down on my early vehicles, which is this part. So I'm going to start at this end. Now, the simplest way of doing this is yes, that's the one. So I need to put the plate on the back of the frame. Once the plate is on the frame, everything else is very easy. So there. For the carnage, cut the damn meat down, licking the gravy. Now from this point to this point should be, I believe, 57. Yep. That needs to be 4mm. Now I made this very hard to mirror, so I'm going to delete that and go this way, because I need to do this side and this side. So that part, loading. No, that's not what I want to do. 57. Free. And wireframe, that should be there. Ugh. .5 sounds about right. See if this looks right. Right, will it go the right direction first time? I'm gonna get no. There we go. So we have a nice little plate. Now it's not going to be perfect, but it goes up far enough that when I put the next plate in, it'll mostly be seamless. Because I've seen some that are cut out, I've seen some that are not cut out on surviving examples, which is very tiresome. Also, obviously, some of these parts have to be thicker because although you can make steel quite comfortably that is, you know, millimeters thick, when you divide that by 43.5, things get very thin. So let's array number 9. It should be 111 and 4, as it was for the previous one. So 1, 1, 1. Yeah, I think once it gets to the point of riveting, I'll stop the stream, because you don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Loading. So 111 and 4. Excellent. What a time to be alive. Okay. Oh, no. Not quite ready. The next part is very exciting. It's actually probably going to take a little bit longer because I'm going to have to mirror parts of it. So the question is, to draw two parts and mirror them, or draw the same part and then just draw in two pieces. I think that I will be lazy. No, I need to draw in two pieces, because otherwise it won't work. Nice and easy, yeah. So I have the convenient guide in front of me. So there to there. There to there. Symbols. So sometimes the slow piece-by-piece construction make things much easier, and other times it makes it very tedious. At least it is very easy to find out if you've made any mistakes, where they are. So 24.5, 5, 3, 57. And I put this back into regular view. Now, a lot of these parts, yeah, I could just, you know, draw them each time. But I'm lazy. Well, as far as I'm concerned, this is an easy way of doing it, if you can do it. Just takes a bit of loading time as it keeps adding extra layers to the part. It gets heavier. So, part number 10. You'll never guess what I'm going to do now. 111 and 4. Oh dear. So then afterwards I'll have to deal with the underframe extras, because it's a longer vehicle, so it has some extra bracing. And then the all the extra brake gear. But that should be fairly simple, and I've got a nice picture to work from. It's all fairly simple. The underframe bracing just sits not even half the depth of the vehicle. However, does it go on the outside of the vehicle, or does it go on only the underside? That's going to be an awkward one to fit. Okay, so the underframes, the extra little superstructure underneath, goes all around where the wheels are attached. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have to cut it short where it meets the part elements, so it doesn't cause awkward amounts of overlapping. Yeah, hopefully these will just shift into position. It's nearly up to the 2-hour mark, and I am one element away from having done all the major work. Just be the trimming the side stanchions to what's the word? I've just realised, does this have mouse capture? Oh no, I've been pointing at stuff and I haven't got mouse capture turned on. Whoops. Oh good, but this is now in the right place. Good. Alright then, we are nearly done. Yay! Now I just need to put the webbing. I'm pointing again. Right, let's see if I can capture cursor. Yes. It's saying it's capturing my mouse, so I guess I'll find out. Now, this is actually a flaw on one of my other ones I've done recently. This particular element I did not do very well. However, I seek to improve this on the subsequent editions of anything I do, because if you just keep making the same mistake, then you're not really, you know, that way lies madness. And, you know, not very well done things. So this is 24.5. This is 7. That is 0.8. And 55.8? No. Not 55.8. 55.9? Yeah, 55.9. There we go. So this is all the... something that I'd imagine a competent metalworker could do much more efficiently and quickly at, you know, real life scales. Or even, to be honest, with a mug of hot water and some appropriately sized T-section, you could probably do it quite quickly. However, for drawing it around all the different little contours of all the different shapes is a bit more tricky. At least as far as I'm concerned. There's probably a shortcut and someone go, oh, if you press these buttons, it does it. But I don't know about these features, so I don't. Come on. Reload it. There we go. That is ready to be trimmed out now. So I just need to array it down the length of the vehicle again. So it's 55.9 was what I said. So it's 55.9 is 111.8. So 100, it should be 111 then. If I'd thought about doing it like this last time, I did one so much quicker. Did I just work out that it was 511 when I already know that it's 511? And by 511, 111? Oh dear. So 111. Oh no, yeah, I do have a cursor on the stream. How long that's been there. But yeah, One advantage you probably noticed is the longer into this, the longer it takes for it to do anything, which I think is a limitation of the software, not my computer, because I've upgraded my rig and it's not improved. But I'm better at playing. I can play video games more now. Oh, it was an expensive graphics card that didn't actually achieve anything. So when this is loaded, notice then those beams come all the way around and under. And there's probably a quicker way of doing it. There probably is. But I guess what I probably could have done, do is a solid section up there and just chop out from the inside, but then I'd have to refinish the interior and that's effort. Whereas this is also effort, but it keeps it. It's not adding and then taking away a lot, it's just adding in smaller pieces. Okay. Can I have the drawing back, please, software? So yeah, I'm just checking over my drawing. So it has an option, although I'm not seeing it in the text, that some of these had bolsters fitted, which would fit inside the decking, so you could carry longer lengths. However, I'm not finding any information on that. Additionally, I've just seen one of the measurements, so 25 foot is 175. Yep, so I've actually done this correctly. So it has the right sized interior as well. So if someone happened to go, oh yes, I have this 25 foot scale piece of wood, it would fit snugly between the ends. So, start from the other end now. It is time to do the wrap under framing. So for a start, these finish actually just below the height of the body. I've done this before. I've done this before lots of times and I make the same mistake. Either way, so I need to start here. No, I don't. I need to start here. Come down to there. And then, what am I doing? It has a rounded section, which leads to a flat section. And that is actually about there-ish. This then leads into there. Then I have to make that see-through. Make sure these all fit together, because, and this is then almost a 45 degrees, which is really annoying because that's going to print badly because it's quite a strong overhang. So a millimeter. And this should be 2. That is then obviously 5 up. Oh, it also needs to be no, that's not the button. That's the button. 29.5. That looks in the drawings to be at 45 degrees. So that's 135. There we go. Now I should be able to key this measurement in off here to 5. Add in a construction line to make this a bit easier. Now one thing I can do is, annoyingly, go in and just slice the top off afterwards. But then I've had to have done it from the underneath to start with, and I could have done that, but then I'd have to redraw everything, and redrawing everything is something I consider to be not fun. So that is 8.5. So this is... Actually, is this fixed, or is that... that is not actually fixed. What's a sensible number? 1.5 is probably sensible. Now, this is only one side. Now... just need to fill in the exterior. That can be free, that can be vertical. That can be 0.5. Boom. Headshot. Now that looks hideous, as is. Now if only done this as one side, it's kind of complicated, I guess, if you squint. So this should be 112. So I'll make it 115, just to cover. One thing I can do is I can go in and curve over these little corners on all of those afterwards. Yeah, I'm sure that the one person who's been watching most of this has presumably left it on, muted, and is doing something more productive. Because this is very, very dry. Now those look like they stick out way too much. But that is as far out as they look to go. Well, realistically, actually, I need to adjust this slightly before I mirror it. Because that shouldn't tuck all the way in, there should be a slight edge to it. Otherwise, it would... what's the word? .5. .5. That should make it look a bit better once it's trundled through its update cycle. Just looking at the drawing while this is rendering. There we go. There we go. Now the last little bit is going to get trimmed off the tops. Yep, there we go. That's that looks a lot better than the last one I did. It's all nice and smooth and fluid as opposed to a mishmash of different like chunks. Oh, before I do that, actually, let's mirror pocket number 6. And this extra bit should trim it all nicely. The next part is going to be much easier because it has only one set of geometry to move. Because I'll be doing this end plate to trim down these cross members. There we go. That looks good. I might actually be able to print this later. I probably won't, but I could. I need to buy wheels. Wheels are getting expensive. Not because the price has gone up, just because I need so many. If I put wheels on all the stuff just on the shelf next to me, I would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pairs of wheels. I then need 8 for those. And then for this I'd need 9. No, I need 10 because that one needs 2 sets. So I need 10 sets of wheels, and that's suddenly £80 at the cheapest. Which, you know, it's a little steep. Considering I, you know, not the sort of, what's the word? Cannot think of words today. Yes, no, I'm going to look at acquiring those over time rather than in one go. Because the other thing I like to do is try and get them painted before I, you know, put wheels on all of them. Because then it gives me not an excuse to take out shoddy looking half-finished vehicles. Because, you know, I try and have some standards when it comes to modelling stuff. Hopefully it might get me some, I guess, brownie points with some other people I know who do this. As, with, that's, Right, if this works, I'm just going to manually mirror it because it's 5 lines. Rather than, you know, duplicating it. So this should knock the tops off all these, which will bring them back to how they look on the final version. Because that slight edge to it all is, there we go. Now I still might drop that down by another 5mm. This might crunch it out a bit. I think this is going to be such a small thickness of material. And the drawings I have are not helpful on the subject, to be honest. There is one decent drawing, plus several less decent drawings. And photographs. Photographs, honestly, are probably one of the better ones, but even then, they don't... Most of them are very small, sort of old, you know, photograph-sized ones. Because, believe it or not, stuff built in the 1920s generally isn't, you know, readily available for pictures. There's some odd stuff on that Google search. Yeah, there we go. So that's going to look a little bit better when it's finished. So now I need to add... Drag this over to here. There we go. Update the drawing. It should now shave the top off. Now if I wanted to, I could actually just shave those pillars down a little bit further in this drawing. But, I don't know, I think I might just do it with a knife afterwards. To give it a... Actually no, not a knife. What am I talking about? Forget my own head. I'll do it as a chamfer, because that's the purpose of the chamfer, is to give it a smoother finish. Right, now, next part. This side. So, same again with that type of bit. To there. And then I think just down to there. Now I've made all of those in the wrong type of line. So let's... There we go. So that should be 0.3. Oh, I've missed a bit. Come on. You're not doing anything. Why is it taking this time to load? Right, actually, looking at the drawing, that chamfer only goes down in the depth of the first plank. Okay, good. I've got the drawing back. So now I need to do a... that step. And again, I've done in the wrong type of thing. There we go. Picture's tiny. That picture is also tiny. Excellent. Where nobody's been. So this needs to come into there. Means that needs to be lengthened out to a millimeter. That's going to be 3. Now that looks correct. And just for my own convenience, more than anything, I'm going to add in the bottom chamfer. That's generally a 45 degrees. Boom. Nice and simple. Apparently it's over-defined. Yeah, so. Now let's see if this works. And I'm hoping I'm not going to hit the couplings. I shouldn't be able to. The couplings should actually be deeper. Through all. Let's find out. Goes up. Hey, there we go. So we've got the bottom chamfer. We've got the top end. We're actually going to still have a smaller chamfer on that end of it just to trim it down. Yeah, there you go. There you go. No. No. There we go. Okay, you have to click multiple buttons to get out of those ones. There we go. So just mirror that to the other end, and then it's rivets. And I will probably get this ended shortly. Rivets can be fairly easy. It's just a case of find a good picture, see where the rivets actually are. Because some of these drawings for them are awful. But fortunately, it's a plank truck, which means it's a lot lighter than the iron-bodied ones. The iron steel. Depends which parts, I guess. Either way, those ones have got so many parts that hold them together. It's several hundred rivets per panel, generally. I think at one point I counted it was 150 rivets just for the end plate on the N27. And it's got sides as well. But that's the equivalent of a 7-plank truck. So it's going to be taller, heavier, all that jazz. So, yeah, that's all come out nicely. There we go. That's it. It's how it's got the wood, then the coping, then the plating, all the nice little arches. Let's put it into that view. Right. The hour is nearly 7 PM on the 8th of March 2019, and this drawing is basically done. I say I just need to put the rivets on, then work out where all the gubbins goes underneath. And that's not this part, because this part is just the body and the frame, because I used to print them separately, and then they got hideous join gaps along these lines, and they never quite lined up properly, because the printer will very slightly resize some parts. Not, like, badly, just, you know, shrinkage, where you clean off the flash and anything, where it's got things, you know, they happen. So there we go. That is this essentially done. Well, I hope that my two viewers, as it stands at the moment, have enjoyed watching the end of this stream. I'm going to wait till it actually saves, and then I'm going to end it there. So yeah, have a nice day, everybody, and yeah, I might do another stream soon, doing another one of the T-Series vehicles, because, you know, T-Series memes. I might try a T1 or possibly a T13, depending on how I'm feeling, which is the chaired sleeper wagon, which is what all the bits that make up the railway track that aren't the rails go on. And there's loads of pictures of those, because fortunately there's one that's used that's in very good condition, which makes my job a lot easier. Anyway, have a nice day.